Hey everyone, Dan here with Pain Free You. Today I wanted to talk about the topic of I still have pain. Am I missing something? So it's a statement I hear often. So relax, take a nice couple of breaths. This video is posting on Thursday, and heading down to Austin, Texas for a workshop. I will still post these videos, and I'll still try to check in on Facebook, YouTube comments. May not be as available. There might be some delays in me getting back to people, so please be patient. Going to be gone through Monday, so a little less access to me, but the daily videos will show up. So relax your body, take a couple breaths. Perfect. So, Dan, I still have pain. Am I missing something? Right? And usually this statement comes from somebody who makes a statement like, yeah, I know all about TMS. I've read the books, I've listened to podcasts, I've listened to your videos. I know all about it. I'm doing all the things you say, and I still have pain. So what am I missing? And I think there's a crossover between some of the ways I recommend we approach this and some of the ways some other people recommend we approach this in the mind-body space. There's a lot of talk about the inner child and trauma work and possibly therapy, limbic system retraining, getting the trauma out of our bodies, and a lot of different angles, breath work, meditation, all those kind of things. And for many people who know about TMS, I'll say this: knowledge alone is not the cure, right? Applied knowledge is. So the knowledge of TMS is not enough to resolve the pain. And for many people, they're thinking, well, I know all this stuff. I've been listening to Dan for a while. I'm still not better. Am I missing something? Maybe some of the other practitioners have the right answers. Maybe I need to do some emotional work, some, resolving of past issues, trauma, repressed emotions. Then on the other side of the equation, there's plenty of people in the mind-body space who say, pain is a message from your body. What's your body trying to tell you? And the challenge that we've got with both of these theories is, as long as you have pain, the logical question is, what am I missing? I need to keep looking for that message. Or I need to keep looking for that long-lost repressed emotion. And that, in my opinion, can lead us down some dead ends, right? Because I know plenty of people who've done emotional work for years, have gone through all sorts of trauma therapy, and they still have pain. So it's clearly not discovering that needle in a haystack emotion from however many years or decades ago that's going to unlock the door, right? I don't believe it's that. And the message theory, let's say you've got headaches or migraines, and you kind of connect the dots and say, oh yeah, my partner makes my head want to explode. Okay, great. Now what do you do with that? That in and of itself isn't curative. And I've met very few people, if any, I can't even remember any, that from the emotional work said, I found this one experience from when I was in third grade, and once I wrote about it or talked to my therapist about it, poof, all my symptoms disappeared. I don't think it's that cut and dry. I don't think there's one experience that's causing everything. I think it's all cumulative. And I'm not suggesting in any way, shape, or form that emotions and our past has no bearing on where we are today. Because I think it does, certainly. If you've experienced a lot of emotionally heavy stuff, physically heavy stuff, real injuries, real sickness, surgeries, you name it, those things kind of stick around in your subconscious. And, we can, if you've ever been the one to say, I've always been anxious. I was an anxious kid. I'm still anxious now. Somehow along the way, you learned as a child to be more anxious, on alert, looking out for danger. Sometimes it has to do with being raised in a chaotic environment. Sometimes not, right? We don't always have that. Sometimes it could be just an experience in our 20s where we had some medical problem and it scared the heck out of us, right? However we got here is how we got here. And I don't spend a lot of time encouraging folks in my coaching program to go back and figure it out. Because even if you could figure out the whole path that led you right here, what do you do with that? How's that curative? I still believe that regardless of our experience in the past, we need to focus on showing and telling the brain right now that we're okay, we're safe, there's nothing wrong. That starts with the foundational knowledge of TMS, perceived danger, pain, or symptoms, means by definition the brain is creating the symptoms based on the brain's perception of danger. So how does discovering some emotionally chaotic time in elementary school or middle school or high school going to make your right now brain feel safer? I'm not convinced it does. So if you'd like to do some emotional excavation, so to speak, emotional discovery with a therapist or under some other TMS practitioner's recommendations, I guess, okay, that's fine. But if you've done that already and you haven't really found the answer, quote unquote, it's possible that we may want to shift attention to the right now stuff. So how do I deal with emotions? Or how do I recommend we deal with emotions? The current stuff, right? So if you are highly emotional about something going on in your life, allow yourself to experience it without judgment and try not to ruminate on it. Because if you ruminate on an emotional experience, you're likely going to keep the emotion being recreated over and over again. So notice a high-level awareness of your emotional state and feel your emotions without judgment, without the story. You already know why you're upset. And when we do that and we allow ourselves to feel that emotion, it can dissipate and pass, which is ideal. So the reason I suggest this is simply this. It's like exposure therapy to our emotions, and after a time of doing this consistently, without running away from our emotions or shoving them in the closet to be repressed, by consistently allowing ourselves to feel the emotions without judgment, without the story, the brain will eventually go, Dan's been feeling some pretty intense stuff. He's still okay. I guess these things called emotions are safe, which means then, when the brain feels that emotions are a normal part of life and safe, they may no longer turn on symptoms in an effort to protect or distract us from those emotions, as Dr. Sarno theorized. So in my opinion, that's it. The message theory, there are books written, there are theories about it, people talk about it, and I've actually heard some pretty awful stuff that some TMS experts say, if you want to get better, you have to do this, this, or that. You're going to have to leave your spouse. You're going to have to do this. And until you do, you're not going to get better. That's no better than a doctor saying, you've got this diagnosis and learn to live with it. I'm sorry. If somebody is telling you that you can't get better until you do what they say, or if a doctor or somebody else is saying you won't get better, walk away. Remove that from your head. Don't ruminate on it. Don't stew on it. Don't give it an emotional charge. Basically, when somebody tells you that you can't get better, you're talking to the wrong person because they clearly don't know how to help you get better. Seriously. If a TMS person, coach, therapist, even doctor says, yeah, I don't see you getting better, find somebody else. I believe we can all get better. Why? Because we're all human beings, and if one human being can teach their brain to turn off these symptoms, everyone can. We've got the same system. It works the same way for all of us. Yes, we all have different histories. We all have different traumas if we want to go there. We all have different, perspectives on stuff. And some people will have a little bit more of a tough time than others. But I absolutely believe that you can get better, just like everybody else who's gotten better before you. And I see it all the time. People are making progress. They're improving. Their lives are improving because their pain and their symptoms are improving, because their mindset's improving, because their ability to handle emotions is improving. And people are absolutely finding that it's not just feeling better physically, mentally and emotionally, their lives are improving. Their relationships with others are improving. Others are saying, "You seem different. What's going on?" Or, "Wow, you look like you're doing so much better." Very common. So for the people who say, "I still have pain, what am I missing?" I don't think it's this need to go on an investigative search. I think the answer to that question could be, I haven't yet, key phrase, yet, successfully reduced the fear. So what are you missing? You're missing looking for a problem you're looking for an answer to a problem that doesn't need to be solved, because it may not even be a valid problem that you need to solve. And I know I'm going to get some pushback, and there's some people who are going to say, "Yeah, but this and that, and limbic system, and the body keeps score, and trauma stored in the body, and all this stuff." Wonderful. We have a difference of opinion, and that's okay. If you believe all of those things, I'm not your guy. I'm the guy who's going to help you simplify the process. Stop digging for things that may not be the solution, and focus on teaching your right now brain that you're actually safe. When? Right now. When the brain feels safer, things settle down. We don't have to fix our hypervigilant nervous system. We need to feel safer so the nervous system settles down on its own. The brain knows what to do. We just have to give it better information. And if we're constantly running around very fearful and in a high state of anxiety about our symptoms, we're confirming the brain's perception that some dangerous stuff is going on. And if we stay in that state, you're not missing anything. It's not that you didn't find some long-lost emotion. It's that you are unfortunately confirming the brain's perception of danger. You haven't dialed down the fear enough yet in order for the brain to turn off the alarm system, right? That's all pain is. It's a warning signal because the brain's perceiving danger. That's all we got to know. So if you're saying, "Did I miss something?" ask yourself, well, am I still fearful on a regular basis? Yeah. In many cases, we're fearful that we missed something because, there's so many different paths out there in the recovery world of TMS, perceived danger pain. And so, don't convince yourself you're missing something. Focus on accurate knowledge, and you can utilize that accurate knowledge to dial down your fear. And once you've dialed down the fear successfully, and you've started to resume living your life so that you're engaging your brain in something else other than trying to fix, right? Because if all we're doing all day long is spending, 6 hours a day on Facebook, YouTube, podcasts, reading, asking questions of other people, digging. If you're spending 5 to 6 hours a day, or even, 1 to 2 hours a day, your brain's looking at you going, "What are you doing? There must be a problem if you are frantically looking for a solution that frantically." And so we really have to front load the education, learn what's going on. You can find that on my Getting Started page. Won't take you long. painfreeyou, painfreeyou.com/start. Look for that. It'll get you started. It lays the foundation quite well. And there's also assessments there. Do the assessments. And get that foundational knowledge. And then once you do that, you understand that your symptoms, are perceived danger, pain, or symptoms, and that it's TMS or whatever acronym you want to use, then it's time to move towards a solution, which in my opinion is safety. Teach your brain safety. Safety education. It's a self-education. You're trying to convince your subconscious brain that, hey, we're actually okay now. You know all that stuff we heard from the doctors and read on Wikipedia and WebMD and all those things? That was all misinformation. I'm actually okay. So brain, let's deinstall that stuff and know that we're okay. And on a daily basis, I talk about all the different ways that we can teach ourselves safety. But if you want the brain to believe that we're actually okay, we're going to want to think, act, and behave as if we are actually okay. Because if you're trying to say consciously, intellectually, hey brain, I'm okay, but you are thinking, acting, and behaving as if you're in terror, in a panic, and that there's a big problem you have to solve, I wouldn't be surprised that the subconscious doesn't go along with it yet. So if you're missing anything, you might be missing the point that you intellectually understand one thing, but you may be behaving and acting and even thinking in a way that doesn't support the intellectual knowledge, right? That's why we say freak out less, calmly reassure more. Indifference if you can get there. Choose your response to the symptoms when you notice them, right? Engage in life as much as you're able to within your limitations. Engage your brain in other activities, other interests, so you're spending less and less and less time thinking about your symptoms and thinking about fixing them. There's nothing to fix. Remember, by definition, TMS, perceived danger pain, means the brain is creating the symptoms. Your body's fine. Just stop focusing on symptoms. Ask yourself this one question. Are my thoughts, actions, behaviors, habits leading me towards feeling safer and safer each day? Or are my thoughts, actions, behaviors, and habits leading me towards danger? And if it's pulling you towards danger, do an about face, turn around, and go towards the safety. Doesn't have to be complex. So, if you're still in pain, I don't believe you're missing anything. You just haven't yet successfully neutralized the fear. So, with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Hope everybody is doing well, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.